we're going to do is, if somebody'd like to open in prayer.
I hate you.
I'm enjoying
I was close
this.
in prayer. You want me to open this one now?
It goes last time. It goes like this morning. Open now. Yeah, I like that.
Oh, you don't.
You're my victim.
Alright. Okay. Hi Lord, we're back again. It was only a short time I was talking to you. Now we're talking to you again. This is the whole purpose of what we do. That we talk to you on a regular basis. So I ask you now, Lord, that you put a blessing on Wayne to help him speak the right words of yours, to teach us more what you want us to know. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Right, we can start when you're ready.
Okay, it's on.
It's on there. Right, so today we'll be having a look at broken covenants. Now you might think that's nothing. Oh yeah, I agreed to do that, and I thought, no, I won't do it after. Just change my mind, that's all there is to it. But they do have an effect on us. Can anybody define a covenant?
Agreement.
Yeah,
It's a promise.
both right, but not.
A group of people.
You're both right. But it's not. Like, how would you define a covenant then?
A contract.
Yes, a type of covenant, yeah.
I thought it was agreement.
Right. The Oxford Universal Dictionary defines a covenant as a mutual agreement between two or more persons to do or refrain from doing certain acts. Sometimes the undertaking of one of the parties, a vow, a formal agreement, in English law, a promise or contract under seal. So yeah, with a contract, a covenant can be just two people saying, yeah, we'll do this. With a contract, there has to be consideration, something of economic value given from each party to the other one. But still, it's a covenant. Right, and so when you enter into a covenant, to make a contract, to agree or subscribe by covenant. Now, there's such a thing. Now, covenants are enforceable, and especially if you make a blood covenant. They're the most enduring, most solemn, and most sacred of all contracts that can exist. Now, if we think about it, when Jesus died on the cross, he shed his blood for us. And that was a blood covenant. People don't usually think of it that way, but that was a blood covenant with us. And when a blood covenant is entered into, a contract is made, whereby both parties covenant to give life, love, protection forever until death parts you. And it can't be broken. Violating a blood covenant was punishable by death. Don't think I would have made one. And the blood covenant originated from the earliest days when God taught man, and covenanting was a universal custom. It's been practiced in some form or another by countries, countless countries throughout all existence. And a blood covenant relates families forever, including all their descendants, because there's a curse on a blood covenant. Very often witches, Satanists make a blood covenant with the devil. And that covenant then goes on for at least 4 generations. And if the demons involved can make it last longer by doing something, they, like any other curse, and keep it going for generations. And if you break a covenant, it can influence a person on all three levels of body, soul and spirit. And what people don't realise is it can cause a lot of problems. Health problems, debt, poverty, blessings lost. And that's why violating a blood covenant was punishable by death at one time. So, have anybody got any biblical examples of broken covenants they could think of? No? I knew you'd got something.
Adam and Eve, the first one.
Broke the covenant with God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you've got
But did you
Lot
say,
and his wife.
would you say Adam and Eve?
Yeah.
Can you expand on that a bit more?
When they decided to not listen to God, listen to the snake, and ate from the tree of knowledge.
Yeah. And then where did the blood covenant come in?
When the blood covenant came in, when Jesus died on the cross.
Even before that, with Adam and Eve, God killed an animal
Oh yeah.
to clothe them, because they knew they're not going to get away with get some fig leaves.
Yeah.
But the blood the animal shed was the first blood covenant to cover their sins. So, an example is 2 Samuel chapter 21 verse 1. In the days of David, there was a 3-year famine, year after year. And David asked God, what's going on? And God replied, it's on account of Saul and his bloody house. And he wasn't swearing then, obviously. He was in slang. He said, for he put to death the Gibeonites. Now, what happened was, when God gave Canaan, the promised land, to the Israelites, that because it was so full of witchcraft and the occult, and these people just wouldn't be helped. So God said, right, you've got to wipe the lot of them out, cleanse the land, cleanse the evil out of it, get rid of it all. But the Jews didn't do it. They let some people live. And they made a covenant with them that they would protect them and be there safe and safeguard them. And King Saul broke that covenant and put some of them to death just because he could. And because of that, there was a famine across the whole of Israel. And David asked God, why? And he said, it was because King Saul had put the Gibeonites to death. He shouldn't have. There was a covenant. So there was a famine in the land. David equated that famine to the blessing or lack of blessing from God. So he asked God, why is there a famine? And God answered him, it's on account of Saul and his blood-stained house. It's because he put the Gibeonites to death. Now, as I said here, they made that peace treaty. It was one of the first major mistakes Israel had made in the promised land. They were kept basically as slaves to Israel. But that was never God's intention. But they made that covenant. And Saul just disregarded it, so God took his blessings away. But David sensed there was something preventing God's blessings on Israel. And that's what it was. And David said to the Gibeonites, what can I do for you to put it right? And they said, give us, I think it was 7 members of Saul's household so we can hang them for what they've done. King David said, okay. And when these people, 7 members of King Saul's, or former King Saul's household were executed, the famine went. Justice had been done. So So we see there, a blood covenant. So covenants are vital. You make a covenant, you do everything within your power to keep it. But my advice to everybody would be, don't make a blood covenant. Certainly don't do that.
It's like your
We've already
blood
got
brother
one.
pact.
Hmm?
Your blood brother pact, where they used to
Yeah,
slice your hand and then shake hands as a blood brother pact.
yeah, Indians would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we don't need to make one. We've already got one with Jesus anyway. So has anybody any thoughts or opinions, anything on that? No? Right. Now we're going to look at the human
Can I
mind.
just ask something?
Oh, yeah, fine, go on, yeah.
So what about blood transfusions?
That's what I was going to
That's
say.
different altogether because
I was going to say that.
it's not a pact. You're being given something to save your life.
Yeah.
It's not, there's no agreement, no covenant. The two sides aren't saying, well, if you do that, I'll do that.
Yeah, but
Like a
that's really,
contract.
somebody's agreeing to give their blood and somebody's agreeing to accept it.
I can see what you're getting at. There's
Yeah.
not a covenant as such because you're not agreeing, there's no legal. It's not legal then, is it? It's, I give this to save whoever's life. You don't know who you're making that agreement with, do you? But I can see the point you're coming from.
I was
It
going
does, I can see the logic behind what you're saying, but what you've got to remember is when you give blood, even though the blood itself may be medically sound, you never know if there's a demon in that blood. So I'm glad you brought that up. And what you go, if somebody's being given blood, they have an operation, you always pray so that the blood is cleansed. Because a demon can be passed from one person to another that way. It's when somebody has an operation, it get cut open, it's possible that their spiritual defences go down, the demon can go in. It doesn't happen all the time, but enough to make it important to pray first for protection for that person. So I'm glad you brought that up.
That's how infection gets in sometimes.
That's not infection, it's demonic.
That's how infection...
So that's not an infection as we normally think of it, is it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good point, that is, though. Yeah, so receiving the blood, one person's agreeing, the other one's, yeah. So technically it could be a covenant, couldn't it? Anybody got any thoughts on that?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why Jehovah's Witnesses don't like to give blood.
I don't know why they won't take it, but I think you just don't listen to them anyway.
No, I don't, but
I know what you mean, though.
and some people, some of them die because they can't
yeah.
get blood transfusion.
Yeah,
Tell
no. Yeah, you're right, I know. Right, mind control. That's the next topic we'll look at. Now, what we can do with this is, when we covered what we've got here, I've got a booklet on my tablet, written by Win Worley, and he covers mind control. So once we've done this, I think it'd be a good idea to have a look at that as well. So, what do you think? Do you want to look at it? Because what I do, I leave it up to the people in the class, the study, to decide what they want to do. I don't say, we're doing this. I want everybody to make the decision jointly. So what do you think? Do you want to do that as well after? I can tell you,
Okay.
Win Worley stuff is good. Right, so if we look at mind control, has anybody got any ideas of what it is?
It's indoctrination.
Indoctrinating,
That's it.
brainwashing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of it, yeah.
I can't get my words out.
Has anybody got any ideas about the way it's done?
They can, you can't have opinion, whatever you say, like it's rubbish, things like that. Or
That
Is
can
that
be a
it?
form of it, yeah. Putting you down so
putting you
much
down, yeah.
that you lose self-confidence. And that way, one person, it's like that's a form of bullying, isn't it? Because put somebody down so much, they lose their self-esteem, and I'm above you then. Yeah, that's one
Right.
way it's done. But what we find is that the underlying theme of control will always be manipulation of the human mind. And you can only control billions of people by divide and rule. If everybody's got the same opinion, or most people, are they left to form their own opinions without being influenced, I think more sensible people would come to similar conclusions, wouldn't they?
Yeah, like getting hypnotised.
Yeah,
That's like mind control, so to
it
speak.
is, yeah.
I think it's suppressing free will.
It is. Good point, that. It is, yeah. Now, if you program the mass consciousness into believing that what you want to be done is good, sensible, its own opinion, that's brainwashing, isn't it? Like you said, suppressing the free will. And you should let people form their own opinions, you know. You can tell them what you think.
And some adverts used to put mind control on the adverts to
Oh yeah,
try to
subliminals.
influence you.
Subliminals, yeah. But if you think about it, the education system is used to indoctrinate children in the same way the media and advertising is used. The simplest method of securing a silent weapon and gaining control of the public is keep them undisciplined, confused, disorganised, and distracted with things that have got no importance. Keep them looking over there while you were doing whatever over there. You see that going on all the time. And the best way to achieve this is by disengaging their minds, engaging their emotions, and increasing in self-indulgence. And their indulgence in emotional, physical activities by using the media, schools, entertainment. And the people will be kept busy through work and really ambitious. And when this happens, they can work themselves, they can become susceptible to multiple diseases, even death. And Satan is very, very good at this. He controls people's minds. What did Paul say in the Bible? The battlefield is the mind. If Satan wins control of your mind, he's got you. He controls the way you think, the way you act. And Satan alters brain patterns through a lot of different ways. Anybody got any ideas? There's one which is quite famous.
Sorry, what did you say? Sorry.
Ways that Satan alters brain patterns or puts ideas into your mind without you even knowing. There's one particular famous way. Records, backmasking. You play a record backwards and you could use words. I think it was
I don't know, I've done it.
Beatles song, Revolution 9, I think it was. When if you turned it back, play it backwards, you could do a voice saying, turn me on, dead man, turn me on, dead man. I'm sure it was one of the songs, I'm sure it was Revolution 9. And you can hear a lot of satanic messages. Certain pop groups are really into black magic and Satanism. And you play the records backwards and you can hear different things, praising and glorifying Satan. And you don't even become aware of this. Unless you've heard of it, you just wouldn't think of it. And psychologists have found if you place a single frame with a message every 20 frames in a film, the conscious mind can't pick it up, but the subconscious mind can. So obviously these things are being used to manipulate us all the time.
So it's a
Subliminal.
Yeah.
That's the one.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
It's in Walt Disney films. It must be proven time and again. When people kids think, yeah, Walt Disney, hey, new film. But you just don't know what's on there. Another one that's a clever way of controlling people's minds is meditation. People think, right, sit there, blank your mind out. No, we don't ever do that. That's one thing the Bible tells us, keep your mind active. So if you blank your mind out, Satan can influence you a lot easier. He's saying you have millions around the world blank their minds and bring their bodies into passivity through meditation. Hindus, Buddhists, New Agers, and a lot of cults promote meditation. And understanding the mind control network and its techniques is vital. It's vital. Because somebody is mind controlled, the victim of it can be activated by a trigger. It can be a word, a phrase, even a smell. And then they'll do whatever they've been programmed to do. And you see people in America, they just go into a school and just shoot people. And they say, I don't know why I did that. Or they're adamant they didn't do it. It's because something have happened has triggered that, and they go in and do it, what they've been told to do. Yeah. And the person that says I didn't do it, they really believe they didn't. And another method of mind control is hypnotism. And it comes from the Greek, the word hypnosis is derived from the Greek word hypnos, it means sleep. And it could be said that hypnotism is a means of bringing on an artificial state of sleep, or a state of reduced consciousness. And a lot of experts disagree on different things about hypnosis. And they can, in the occult, it's used to make a person insensitive to pain, reduce heart activity, cure migraines, cure phobias, make a person emit animal noises of all things.
Yeah.
And to do, without any instructions, what they've taught you to do. And one thing we'll be looking at later on is the fragmented soul. Something had happened to you and you create an alter personality, and what they do when they hypnotize you is they're looking for that now they might want you to do something, you say, I'm not doing that, that's terrible, no way. But if they can find that alter may be willing, alter personality may be willing to do whatever they want you to do. So at the set time then, if they find out that they hypnotize it, program it to doing whatever they want it to do, and at a certain point then, just triggered, and then it'll do it. And the core person thinks, I haven't done that. It's simple when you know how. Anyway, we can look at, I'll get my tablet now, and we look at Win Worley's booklet on mind control. This one is a little bit different, I guarantee you that. Anybody got any thoughts or opinions on what we've looked at so far?
Well, I do meditation.
The blanking your mind out.
No, I do visualization.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Because I used to do a lot of archery,
Oh yeah.
and I used to imagine myself, but